like Michael Jackson, The Cops, and Zeppelin. I played these songs here. Bruno, I was a fat kid, and on my dad's birthday there was a fighter named Bruno Sammartino. Bruno Mars' amazing singing always got you moving when Uptown Funk beats were playing on the radio or on your way to the gym in the morning. And like every other A-list artist, Bruno Mars has always been known as the guy with the best voice. But there's more to the artist's life than you might have thought. The hints here point to a story that has been going around for years. His closet is full of secrets, just like most artists. Today we're going to take a look inside. You shouldn't skip this video if you like Bruno Mars. Come along with us as we learn about Bruno Mars' early life and the rumors that he confirmed. Peter Gene Hernandez, better known as Bruno Mars, was born on October 8, 1985, in the Waikiki neighborhood of Honolulu, Hawaii. He grew up there with his parents, Peter Hernandez and Bernadette San Pedro Bayo. His father was from Puerto Rico and was Jewish. His mother was from Spain and the Philippines, and had moved from the Philippines to Hawaii. Mars' father gave him the name Bruno when he was 2 years old because he looked a lot like the professional wrestler Bruno Sammartino. They had no idea that the nickname would come to mean how great he was as a musician. Mars grew up in a big family with 6 kids and a lot of different kinds of music, from rock and roll to reggae, hip-hop, and rhythm and blues. Both of his parents were entertainers. His mother danced in the Hawaiian hulu style, and his father played drums and sang Little Richard songs at the same dance show. Mars' uncle, who looked like Elvis Presley, used to make Mars listen to and sing Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley songs on stage when he was 3 years old. He liked putting on clothes and acting like Elvis Presley because of this. When Mars put on the leather clothes that the king wore to concerts and combed his hair back in the famous way, he became as animated as the legend. You might have thought he was just making up lines if you weren't so close to Mars. It did, however, turn out to be a big turning point in Mars' sonic development. He learned how to act and keep his cool on stage through his constant performances. Bruno Mars did have a little trouble along the way, though. He went to the toilet alone while singing Elvis Presley's Can't Help Falling in Love on stage. He must have felt really bad about that. Following the event, Mars' parents began to question their choice to let him act on stage, which they had considered to be a mistake at the time. But Mars didn't let this event define who he was. He only had to wipe off a tiny bit of dust. Over time, he kept singing because he loved it. One weekly U.S. newspaper, Shopper and Advertisement Midweek, even named him Little Elvis and ran an ad for him. He also did a show at the 1990 Aloha Ball during the halftime show. In the beginning of 1992, young Bruno Mars was well on his way to becoming famous all over the world. He had already had his first movie part in Honeymoon in Vegas, which was hosted by Arsenio Hall. As a child, he performed twice a day on stage with his family's band and acted out the roles of Frankie Lyman and Little Anthony. He also liked playing musical instruments and learned to play the drums, guitar, piano, and percussion. Mars has always liked show business because he has been a performer since he was a kid. He was able to do this because his parents worked hard to give him the gift. Then, will they stay together to help the young artist get better? It looked like Mars' life was going swimmingly until it took a big turn for the worse. When he was 12, his parents split up. In turn, this changed the way things went in the family band. The Love Notes Act was broken up, and his father ran a number of businesses, from temporary tattoo parlors to shops selling souvenirs. The family was having a very hard time at the time, and there was no money coming in to support them. Mars, his brother, and their father had to live in harsh conditions on the streets, on roofs, and even in an empty bird zoo where his dad had worked before it closed. Even though things were still hard for Mars, he found comfort in his music and even chose to get better at it by copying Elvis Presley. He later became interested in the music of Jimi Hendrix, an American rock player, and began to learn how to play the guitar. Mars said in 2010 that his Hawaiian roots and musical family had a big impact on his work. He said, "Growing up in Hawaii made me the man I am. My dad's band, and I used to play a lot of shows in Hawaii. My whole family sings. Everybody plays an instrument. It's just been all around me." He joined a group called the Schoolboys while he was at Honolulu's President Theodore Roosevelt High School. They put on a number of shows, such as the first song for his dad's new band. After that, he worked as a performer in Hawaiian circles. He was also able to act at the start of a big magic show, and as Michael Jackson in a show where people pretend to be famous people. He was paid $75 for the impersonation part. He then had his sister, who lived in Los Angeles, play his demo for Mike Lynn, who is in charge of singers and repertoire at Dr. Dre's Aftermath Entertainment. Mars graduated from high school when he was 17 years old and chose to move to Los Angeles in the hopes that his music career would take a bigger turn towards success. The first time Mars felt out of place was when he moved to Mansfield Avenue and couldn't believe how poor the area was. In 2009, their first song to make it to the top of the charts as songwriters was Flo Rida's Right Round, which starred the American singer Kesha. It stayed there for 6 weeks. He also helped write the Sugar Babies' 2009 song Get Sexy and sang backup on their 2010 album Sweet 7. He was also a singer on the track 3D from Far East Movement's second studio album, Animal, which came out in 2009. He was also on American pastor and hip-hop artist Jason Massachusetts' first hit, Love, and on American rapper Travie McCoy's One at a Time that same year, as a charity song for the Staying Alive Foundation Olympics on MTV. The song Nothing on You, which was the lead single from Bobby Ray Simmons Jr. and McCoy's Billionaire in 2010, was Mars' big break. And these songs made them more well-known. He said that we didn't think we had a chance to show what we could do on the right round. But Nothing on You was unique because we made it and gave life to it from the ground up. Mars added. Mars talked about the time he went into Atlantic Records and sang Nothing on You and Billionaire for Aaron Bay Shuck, AR Vice President. He said, "No one sells a song better than the person who wrote it. I really put myself into that demo, and I'm glad they heard it and gave me a chance." In the end, both songs made it to the top 10 of several music charts. The first song reached #1 on both the US Billboard Hot 100 and the UK Singles Chart. Following Mars's success, the summer of 2010 was full of anticipation as the 20th of July saw the release of the love song Just the Way You Are, which made everyone cry. This song was the first single from his famous album Doo-Wops and Hooligans. The Smeezingtons wrote and produced all of the songs on that album. In Australia, Canada, the US, and many other places, Bruno Mars' song Just the Way You Are was the #1 song on the lists. He was the talk of the town, a young star on the rise with such a smooth, beautiful voice that even people in the music business started to notice him. People say that when you're successful, you get stronger and can do more. This was the case with Bruno Mars, because this big accomplishment wasn't the end of him. He had just begun. After that, he put out a string of other songs right after each other. When Grenade came out, it went straight to the top of the popular Billboard Hot 100 chart, where it stayed for a while. This win happened again in New Zealand, the UK, and many other places. The Lazy song was a big hit. It got to #4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and #1 in the UK and Denmark. Really cool, huh? Afterwards. Do you know that Bruno Mars almost had to give up his job because he owed money? He was at the top of his game when this happened. Keep an eye out, because that's coming up soon. Fame came from his deep voice, ability to write good songs, and skill at making different kinds of music sound good. He worked with other artists like Lil Wayne, Kanye West, and Jay-Z, which added to his image as a musician who could play almost anything. That same year, he also made the song Lazy Song, which went to #1 in the UK and Denmark and #4 on the Billboard Hot 100. Talking to the Moon was only available in Brazil, where it became a #1 hit on both the Hot 100 and the Hot Pop Songs charts. Marry You, which was only available in foreign markets, started making it into the top 10 in a number of countries, and Count on Me was the last single in Australia. This wasn't something the singer, musician, and producer did all the time. Mars started his second performance residency at Park MGM in 2020. He also started a short world tour in Sydney and Tokyo that year. Some of the places where the shows took place in 2023 were South Korea, the Philippines, Brazil, Chile, Georgia, Qatar, and Israel. Mars was working on his 4th solo studio album in February 23rd. Brody Brown told Mars about the record and asked Mars to help produce it. He also worked with Philip Lawrence and the American singers and musicians James Fauntleroy and DeMille that same year. Later in May 2023, after weeks of working in the studio, a person in the music business stated that they were making a new album that was almost finished, but they didn't know when it would be released. Mars also said that he was planning a new look to go with it and that he was already in early talks with Live Nation Entertainment about putting on a tour with full-size 3-dimensional shows that would run through 2024 and 2025. After this, Mars and Lady Gaga worked together on the song Die with a Smile, which came out on August 16th, 2024. It was his first #1 song, and in the US, it was #3 on the OT. Mars won a lot of awards for these accomplishments, including Grammys, American Music Awards, and Billboard Music Awards. His music videos got more than 1 million views on YouTube, and he became one of the biggest entertainers in the world. He went from being an unknown singer to one of the most famous artists of our time. But what did the star hide? Bruno Mars' secret is out. Bruno Mars' secret is out. Bruno Mars had a terrible day on September 19th, 2010, when he was caught at the Hard Rock Casino in Las Vegas for having a lot of cocaine on him. The new singer and songwriter was already in jail and bound. You might think that while Mars was in the police station, he thought about what he could have done differently. He thought it was silly when it dawned on him at that moment. Adding that it was his first time using drugs. After being found guilty of illegal drug possession, Mars was executed. He was told that the charges would be taken off his record if he stayed out of trouble for a whole year as an attempt to make a deal with the police. It was pretty easy to do that deal. For Mars to be in the public eye, he needed to keep his record clean. He knew he still had a long way to go. A $2,000 fine, 200 hours of community service, and completion of a substance abuse counseling training were all things he had to do before the deal could go through. The real story of what happened between Mars and the police when they found cocaine on him. However, he lied to the Gentleman's Quarterly magazine about everything to hide the mess he had made. I was young, dude. Vegas was where I was. I was not concentrating. He also said I was given a #1 record, and I'm out doing stupid stuff. Mars also told the police he lied when he said he had never used cocaine before, saying, I don't know where that came from. That's right, I was drunk. A lot of that is just a blur. I try to forget every day. After his drug case, did Bruno Mars have any other legal problems that hurt his career? From now on, January 28th, 2014 will be linked to Bruno Mars' career like the start and end of a change. On that day, Demetrius Orlandus Proctor, better known as Demetrius Proctor, sued Mars for copyright infringement over his popular song Billionaire with Travie McCoy. Even though the song Billionaire came out in 2010, Proctor made the bold claim that he owned the rights to the music and words. In 2011, he said that he had the only rights to the song. Imagine that someone made a picture in 2010 and sold it. Then, in 2011, someone else said they owned the rights to the picture, even though it had already been made and sold. In that case, Mars and Proctor did the same thing. Proctor did go ahead and give his statement in court. In his defense, he showed a registration certificate from the U.S. Copyright Office for Frisky Vol, 1-30 tapes, 2000. Proctor was sure of himself when he said that Mars and McCoy were willfully and intentionally violating copyright. He made his demands very clear. All copies of the recorded song had to be erased, and he had to be given the exclusive rights to copy and sell the song. An awful lot of worry among people. Proctor couldn't claim the song because it came out a long time before he signed up. What was the secret link between these two songs? How about Billionaire Frisky Vol 1 and 1-30 tapes? The answers have been hidden in the area where the copyright policy meets. It wasn't over yet with worries about Bruno Mars' copyright problems. More were to come. Another case that got a lot of attention was with Mark Ronson and the hit song Uptown Funk from 2014. The song was #1 on lists all over the world, but there were copyright problems going on underneath. In 2015, pianist Rudolph Taylor and producer Lonnie Simmons of the Gap Band said that Uptown Funk sounded a lot like their song Oops Upside Your Head. This started the first fight, which came out in 1979. The players had said that they were never given credit for writing the song with someone else. They were given writing credit by Ronson and Mars and some of the money that the song made. Serb singer Victoria came out the same year and said that Uptown Funk was based on her song. Though she chose not to sue, other claims came up again. Collage, an electro-funk band from Los Angeles, sued Ronson and Mars in 2016 for allegedly copying their song Young Girls from their 1983 EP. It's Collage. This led to another court case. In 2017, a rap group called The Sequence also sued Uptown Funk, saying that they copied one of their songs from 1979 called Funk You Up in 2017. Lestrade Entertainment sued for stealing the rights to Uptown Funk in Zapp's 1980 hit song More Bounce to the Ounce. The company wanted Ronson to pay them money, have a trial, and not be able to make any money off of the song. The lawsuits against both College and Zapp were thrown out in 2018, and we still don't know much about the Villages. Treasure, on the other hand, was put up for re-registration with new writing credits because it sounded a lot like Breakbot's Baby I'm Yours track. Copyright rules are still hard to understand in the music world today, which is always changing. Anyone who watched the Uptown Funk case can see that better laws need to be made so that creators can use previous innovations in a way that doesn't violate the rights of the owners of the original material. So stay tuned, because this is not the end of the interesting story. When Bruno Mars talks about race, even with all of these problems, Bruno Mars did not lose when he got to the top. But that's why, in an interview with Rolling Stone in 2013, he said the business had failed to describe him. Executives didn't know which radio stations would play his songs or what race of people he would sell music to. This doubt was due to Mars' ability to change his style and play different types of music, which led to irregularities and feelings of belonging. While some things were painful, there was one that was especially bad. A record company official didn't scrub anything on you because of the Mars race. Mars said this was the worst time for him because he felt like a monster. Even though the refusal hurt him a lot, it hurt even more because he knew he had a hit on the way. People say things like that, even though I have that song in my back pocket to seal the deal. He said, "It made me feel like I wasn't even in the room. This did not mean the end for Mars because he kept moving forward. Because the record business can't make up its mind, Nothing on You would not be another hit song and success story." They were wrong because the song went straight to the top of the charts. Mars's persistence and hard work paid off here, paving the way for the next hits. These days, Mars is a big star and a singer whose styles don't ignore the artistic side of making music. Today, other artists are expanding their styles and the standards in many fields have become less strict, which adds to his impact. His music has also crossed racial and ethnic lines and inspired new artists to be themselves. In 2018, Mars was the one who got it through The Gossip, which is a show that tries to talk about African American problems for taking black music without permission and using his mixed race to look like other acts. The charges were shot down by black stars like Stevie Wonder, Charlie Wilson, Ninth Wonder, Marjo Estevez, and Stereo Williams. Mars, for his part, hasn't been afraid to talk about the artists who have inspired him, and the black acts he's named, like Babyface, Teddy Riley, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis. For example, when asked about the complaints during an interview with The Breakfast Club in 2021, Mars said, "The only reason I'm here is because of James Brown and Prince Michael Jackson, that's it. Please understand that this music is made with love. If you can't hear that, I don't know what to say." Bruno Mars O's. Mars was able to perform in front of huge crowds thanks to his unique voice and style of music. This made him as rich as some of the biggest acts of our time. In 2013, Mars's bank account had grown to $18,839,681, making him the 12th highest paid singer of the year. This showed how rich he really was. A lot of people were interested in this, and Forbes magazine decided to keep track of his earnings from 2014 on. They figured out that the pop star made $60 million in the 12 months ending in June 2014. This put him at number 13 on the Celebrity 100 list. Of course, this great achievement began with the sales of over 6 million copies of his second studio record, Unorthodox Jukebox. Mars wasn't even close to coming to an end. Forbes named him one of the 6 highest paid celebrities in the world in 2017, with a salary of $39 million. It was the same year that Mars was named America's highest paid musician. He won that title by making $100 million. Because of this, Mars moved up to the 11th spot on the Celebrity 100 list, showed that he was one of the hottest and most valuable stars on the entertainment market. What, though, caused Mars's finances to grow so much? Some of his most well-known hits are Uptown Funk, and Just the Way You Are. Some of his shows were so popular that they were fully booked, like the 24K Magic World. He was able to do this by getting sponsorships from well-known brands like Versace and Pepsi and getting royalties from the sales of his albums and singles. Mars was still ranked 54 on Forbes' list of the 100 richest celebrities in 2019, with $51 million. Mars has sometimes been good at managing, and he has used his abilities to build a huge financial business. We can only conclude that hard work, drive, and a love for music can lead to great things in anyone's life. Still, even though Mars had a lot of success and money, new shocking claims were made against him in March 2004. A tabloid said the pop star was almost $50 million in debt, with most of it coming from gaming. People were wondering if the singer's 9-year residency deal with Park MGM in Las Vegas was just a way to pay his bills. But those stories didn't last long because MGM Casinos quickly put an end to the rumors. In an effort to clear the air, Senior Vice President of Public Relations Jen Michaels issued a statement on March 18, 2024, denying the claims in every way. Michaels quickly made his point clear by saying that Bruno Mars does not owe MGM any money, otherwise it is a totally false guess. The quick response didn't answer any questions, though. What happened? Was the first story a false rumor or a real leak? Was this a clear-cut way to fix things? We might never find out. Bruno Mars' story shines a good light on artists who are having a hard time breaking into the business. Bruno Mars' discography is full of creative songs that don't fit into any one genre. He has performed on Honolulu streets, in global theaters, and on some of his biggest hits, like Just the Way It Is and Uptown Funk. We can only say that Bruno Mars is brilliant in more areas than just music charts when we look back on his work. Mars music brings the past and the present together and takes us to the future and the present. What do you think about Bruno's job in life? Leave a comment below if you want to say something. Don't forget to subscribe and click the like button. Please click on the movie that is shown on your screen before you leave.